Hey guys, Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. Anyone who's new, welcome. Please subscribe if you want to see more content. What I do here basically is I read and review mostly horror books, but other stuff too. And especially right now, it's October. I'm doing nothing but horror content for now until the end of October. So please subscribe if you want to see more stuff going forward. Now today what I'm doing is I'm going to review a book I finished maybe a week ago. It's been a little while. So I've had some time to kind of think about it. But yeah, so today we're talking about Mallory by Josh Malerman. This is a sequel to Bird Box. And when I heard about this, I was pretty excited because I read Bird Box and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It was scary and tense, and yeah, the reason that the horror really worked, I thought, in Bird Box was you never really saw or knew what was out there to be afraid of. Like the creatures, you never saw them, and that's kind of the point. Like none of the characters saw them either. So there's a scene where like a guy has to go outside with a blindfold on to fetch some water, and he hears like a twig snap or something, and at that point it's like he can't take his blindfold off to look and see what it is. Because if it's a creature, it'll kill him. But it could be another person. It could be, nothing. It could be an animal. It could be whatever. And that's where the fear really comes from. And you never actually find out if your fears are justified or not, or what. And so that was the thing that really got me in that book. So anyway, heard about this sequel, got excited. I'd read one other Josh Malerman book last year. I read Inspection and I thought it was great. So anyway, like I said, really excited for this, and I was disappointed. Didn't really love this. I didn't really like it even. So what is this book about? Basically, and there will be spoilers for Bird Box. And spoilers for this. I'm just going to spoil it because there's things that I didn't like about it that I can't really talk about without spoiling some stuff. So, whatever. What is this book about? Basically, at the end of Bird Box, they get to this blind school, right? Where that's where they live. And it's kind of a sanctuary, and so they're kind of safe for a while. Now this book kind of takes place right there when the blind school has been compromised. Someone in the school has gone crazy as a result of the creatures and kills everyone. And so Mallory and her two kids, Tom and Olympia, they escape. They find an abandoned summer camp, and they live there by themselves for 10 years or so. So they're there for a while. They've kind of got a routine. They're very set up. But the whole thing, the blind school thing, and all of this, so Mallory is convinced that the person who went crazy was blind, right? So she's like, how could she have seen the monster? She must have gone crazy by some other means. So maybe if they touch you, you go crazy. Or maybe she starts to get very paranoid. She starts to think that all of her senses are now dangerous. That what if I hear a monster? What if I drink water that a monster was in and I taste the monster? So she's very, very paranoid. So her and her kids are living in this little camp, blindfolds all the time. When they go outside, they have to cover their entire bodies. Gloves, hats, everything, so that if monsters can't touch them, all this stuff. And her kids kind of resent her for that, especially Tom. And yeah, they just think that she's like a little overbearing. And he is a tinkerer. He wants to know, like, learn more and try to figure out ways to, so that he can like look around outside without being afraid. So he invents these glasses. And obviously Mallory's like, don't do that ever, blah, 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 whatever. Which, she's got good reasons. But anyway, one day they're at this camp and this guy shows up. And he claims to be part of the census, which is weird. And so Mallory doesn't trust this guy, and she sends him off. She says, get the hell out of here or I'll kill you. And he's like, okay, whatever. And he leaves some papers, like some information. And they go through it, and there's information about this train that runs. It goes north-south in Michigan, which is pretty close to where they are. And it just runs back and forth, so like people can take the train to like get to different places. It also has information about like a survivors list of the people that this census guy has like come across, and he's made a list and of how many people and where they are. And on that list are Mallory's parents. Both of their names are on the list in this little town that's pretty close to where this train goes. So that's the inciting incident, right? That's what gets them to leave the camp. They want to go find this train, get on the train, and go find her parents. And hopefully they're still alive. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of distrust. She doesn't know who this guy was. Maybe he's trying to trick her somehow. Yeah. So that's the setup. That's basically what the story's about, is they go on a journey to find this train to go see her parents. And, I was on board for most of the book. But mainly, okay, so what I didn't like is first thing I didn't like was it sets up all this stuff, like this redemption arc kind of situation, where Mallory, like everyone looks at her and sees her the way that she's behaving and thinks that she's crazy. They're like, you're way paranoid, you're way over the top. Even her own son, Tom, thinks this, and I kept waiting for like something to happen to justify her behavior, for people to be like, oh, yeah, like some sort of attack where everyone dies, and the protocols that she put in place to protect her and her kids actually works, and they are the ones that survive because of it. Like, that would have been a nice thing. It would have been like, it would have made sense. It would have been like, yeah, Mallory she's not crazy. She has good reasons to believe the things that she believes, even if she's wrong. But that never happens. That's the biggest gripe of this book, is nothing ever happens. It keeps building up this tension towards something, and nothing ever happens. Nobody in the entire book sees a monster and as a result goes crazy and like kills people, which is what the story is supposed to be about. Like, that's the danger in the world, but it never happens. And there's plenty of opportunities, like when they're on the train. Here's some spoilery stuff. When they're on the train, there's this rumor that someone has stowed a monster in like a box, like they caught one and they brought it on board the train. But it's not true. Nothing happens with that. Yeah, nothing ever happens. And so what it ends up is Mallory, everyone looks at her like she's crazy. And then by the end of the book, you're like, well, they're right. She actually was wrong. She's wrong the whole time. And so I don't know. It almost seems like they wanted Mallory to be. They kind of portrayed Mallory as the bad guy in the story, and they portrayed her son Tom as like the good guy in the story. Because as it turns out, the glasses that he invented, they work, and he's able to look at the monsters and then study them and stuff like that. So we don't find that out until the very end of the book, but it reinforces this idea that Mallory is this overbearing, paranoid person, which, I don't know, in the first book, Mallory was very sensible and like stuff, and like they could have done this differently, or he could have done this differently, where, like her mental health maybe was a factor, like maybe she had some PTSD stuff, and that's why she was over paranoid or over cautious. But it never really explores that deep enough for me to like. Basically, you're just like, I don't think you're supposed to like Mallory, which is a problem when she's the main character of the book. You know what I mean? And then the other piece of this that the one specific thing that happens in the story that I really thought was dumb was, so Olympia, her daughter, and her son Tom and her have been living this way for 10 years. The whole time at this camp, they're super, super careful. They're taking all these precautions to not be touched by these monsters, because she thinks that if you get touched by these monsters, you go crazy. Because the person that went crazy at the blind school was blind. And she was like, how could she possibly have seen one if she was blind, right? Well, Olympia knows that that this lady who is blind was faking it. She knows this. She saw her, whatever, do something. I can't remember exactly. She like saw her, and so she knows that this lady is faking blind, and that she actually did see a monster, and that's what caused her to go crazy. The whole time, her mother is doing all this stuff, being paranoid, taking all these extra precautions that she doesn't need to take. And Olympia knows. And she says nothing for 10 years. It's like, I was just like, really, Olympia? You let your mother act like a crazy person and make your life harder? Your life was harder for 10 years. And all you had to do was just be like, Mom, guess what? That lady, she wasn't really blind. She saw a monster. We don't have to worry about them touching us. She could have said that at any point in those 10 years, and she didn't. Until the very, 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 very end of the book. And it's like, I don't know. I was just like, come on, Olympia. How dare you? Like, put your mother through this shit. Anyway, it pissed me off. So, that was one major character decision that it just didn't make any sense to me. So anyway, yeah, like I said, didn't really like it. I think overall he just shouldn't have even written this book. I thought Bird Box was great, and I thought that it was a fine story, and it was contained enough that it didn't need a sequel. And yeah, he could have done a lot. Could have done a lot more with this if he had developed some of these things a little better. So yeah, that was just kind of my thoughts. I give it a 2 out of 5. Let me talk about the things that I did like about the story. He's really good at like writing writing tension. He's really good at making scenes tense. And so yeah, I mean and his writing style is really good. I really like the way he writes and all of that. I really like him as an author. The problem, though, with that is he builds up all this tension, but it never pays off. So that's the problem. So yeah, if I were you, I would read Bird Box and I would just give this one a pass. Don't worry about it. The one good thing about it was it was short. I read it pretty quickly. And yeah, like I said, I would just skip this one if I were you. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Mallory by Josh Malerman. If you've read this and you disagree or whatever, let me know what you think in the comments. I'm certainly open to discussion, and if you saw it differently, you can tell me what you thought, and maybe I'll haven't thought about it that way. I don't know, but let me know. And yeah, so I'm gonna keep doing more videos. I did finish The Fisherman, which was the book that you guys voted for me to read in October. So I finished that. There will be a review coming here probably next few days, and so keep your eyes out, keep your eyes open for that. But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and like and subscribe if you like this stuff. That's all. I'll see you guys later. Peace.